Am I right? Ishebo. Oh, Jackson Ishebo. Ishebo, yes. Ishebo means Tata. So Mr. Jackson Ishebo is here together with Mr. Javira. And they will take us in a very short time. The instruction they have is they are going to go through it in only 45 minutes without repeating. And so if you make noise, don't say I didn't hear, don't say please I beg your pardon, listen properly. Mr. Javira, kindly take over.
Karibu sana.
As the slide is going on, I would like to take this opportunity I take this opportunity to introduce myself once again. My name is Javira Soka. I work with the National Planning Authority, and amongst you is my chairperson for NRM, Mr. Banalia. Maybe those of you who don't know him, that is the man who is leading us in NRM, in Jinja District local government. And he knows that I'm also soon joining that side. Yes. I'm going to take you through the presentation on the third National Development Plan, and then the performance of the third National Development Plan, and then the performance and the National Development Plan 4. As a way of background, you all know that if you want to succeed, you have to plan, even at a personal level. If you don't plan, you will be wasting resources on things that are not priorities. That is why our comprehensive national development planning framework envisioned that we should have the national vision, the mid long-term plans, which are 10 years, the 5-year plans, and then the annual worker plans. So at the National Planning Authority, we read that agenda. We have been preparing national development plans. We had NDP 1, NDP 2, NDP 3. Now we have NDP 4. And we expect that by 2040, we shall have had 6 national development plans of 5 years. And we shall be upper middle income. US dollars, 9,500 at the household level. So we also prepare midterm reviews as well as national development reports to try to assess the progress of attainment of our results that we have achieved over the course of implementation of the plan. As you may know, COVID-19 set in when we had just approved the third National Development Plan. Therefore, the performance here you are going to see is in view of the fact that we were disrupted for about 2 years of implementation of the third National Development Plan. The objectives of this assessment, I think this one I can pass because it is not very important. Overall, when we did assessment after 3 years of implementation of the plan, we measured technically, we measured that we had achieved 50% of the results of the third National Development Plan. That's at the year 2023-2024. But that was a 25% increase from 2020 to 2023, because at midterm we were only at 17%. Specifically 8% were achieved at the goal, at 20% at the strategic objectives, and 30% at the results outcomes. And now the GDP per capita is $1,146 as of 2023 and 2024. GDP per capita means if you earn all the sources of income that we have at individual level, and you divide by the total population of Uganda, then each one of us gets about 4 million shillings on an annual basis. But that is an economic value, because we have 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, 1-year-olds who are not working. So it is not that everybody is earning that, but it is an average for all the Ugandans, including children. At the objective level, we had the first objective was to enhance value addition in key growth opportunities. In that, we had the contribution of agriculture to the gross national product at 24% over the medium term. The average nominal household incomes was 190,000 shillings. Yeah, you're welcome, Afande. Yeah. Then the contribution of ICT to GDP is 1.7%, which is below our target. We expected ICT to help us grow much faster, but it is not contributing so well. In terms of other high-level results, the second objective of the plan was to strengthen the private sector capacity to drive growth, and this one is measured in terms of savings as a percentage of GDP, which is at 9.4%. At the time of measurement, the private sector credit and its contribution to GDP at 9.4%, and the export as a percentage of GDP in terms of the exports of merchandise of goods and services, it is at 8.6%. And then the youth unemployment, very high now, 17% of the youth are unemployed. I'm sorry, at this level, the results are high level. You may not be understanding these concepts, but this is, I have 45 minutes. I would be explaining what each of them means, but I have 45 minutes. Percentage of households, in terms of consolidating and increasing the stock and quality of productive infrastructure, we have the percentage of households with access to electricity. Now it is at 57%, including all forms of electricity, solar, national grid. Then the proportion of paved road network to the national road network, it is at 26.5%. Of course, this is a slower target because we had targeted 34% at that time, at the end of the NDP3, but we are only at 26.5%. All of us like Tabaka roads. This place is looking beautiful because of the pavs. If it was not paved, it wouldn't be as beautiful as this. Internet penetration rate, measured in terms of internet users per 100 people, is now at has increased from 25% 7 years ago to now 55.1% in 2023-2024. In terms of freight cargo traffic exports, stood at 225,000 tons against the target of 63,000 tons. Enhancing, the fourth objective of the plan was to enhance productivity and well-being of the population, labor productivity. In agriculture, it is $829. In terms of industry, it is 6,479, and the services is 5,880. What those numbers mean is that if I work in industry, I am 8 times more productive than someone who is in agriculture, as far as contribution to the GDP is concerned. Now, working in services and the industry is almost close, so we all put the same amount of income to our national income. When we measured in 23-24 life expectancy, it was at 64%. That was a projection based on the National Household Survey of 2019. But when we did the census of 2024, our life expectancy now is 68.2%. And the primary to secondary transition, it is at 69%. That means that 30% of our primary pupils who sat PLE don't go to secondary school. But PLE is 13 years. Then if you are 13 and you are not in school, what are you doing? It's a very big question, especially for us, the people in the government, the NRM, as well as the RDCs. Electricity consumption per capita is 880 kilowatts. This is not very good compared to other countries, and the percentage of safe water coverage has significantly increased for rural. It is 91.3%. For urban, it is 75%. The challenge is more in urban than in rural areas. Possibly because in urban we pay for the water, but in rural areas people go to boreholes and they don't pay. Strengthening the role of the state in guiding and facilitating development. Our tax to GDP ratio improved from 12.6% to 13% in 2022, which is slightly above our target. The target to GDP ratio is that it measures to what extent our population is paying taxes. For us who are in government, for instance, we pay 30% pay as you earn alone. When you add on value for added tax on everything that we buy, when you add on the taxes on fuel and other commodities, when you combine together, we pay about 50% of our income on tax. Now, if we have a tax of 12.2% of GDP, it means that many Ugandans are not paying taxes in real terms. So for us who pay 50%, 45%, 30%, we are the ones that are compensating for those who are not paying taxes. And it's not a good indicator. World over, people pay taxes. Even in the Bible, people pay taxes. Under the program, the third national development plan, we moved away from sectors to programs, because people were not ready to work together to deliver results. So these sectors, health sector, education sector, justice, law and order sector, all those were subsumed into programs. If I am, for instance, in trade, there are some activities that I can work with Ministry of Agriculture to help deliver better results. If I am in Ministry of Trade, I can work with maybe Ministry of Finance to deliver common results. So we have 20 programs of the NDP3, and here we are trying to highlight those programs. The first program is agro-industrialization, and here we looked at increasing the production volumes of priority commodities, which increased from 32.7 to 44%, and then food security at household level was at 87.5. People are eating 3 meals a day. Now, a proportion of households, depending on subsistence agriculture, it is at 39%. Subsistence means whatever I produce, I eat. I don't have what I sell for the market. Then, number of jobs created in agro-industrial value chain, we estimated 159,000, a proportion 2.8% to 39%, and percentage of farmers with access to water for production is at 24.3%. Then, when we go to minerals development, the volume of refined gold exports was 3 in financial year, was equivalent to 3 billion US dollars. in 2023-2024. Then the number of mineral beneficiation facilities was 7 in 2023-24, yet we had targeted 13. Remember, we have a presidential directive that we should no longer export raw materials, but we should first add value, then we export. Proportion of licenses adhering to requirements was only 52%, yet everybody should really adhere to requirements. That's in the minerals sector. Then sustainable development of petroleum resources. The program achieved 31% at outcomes, 17 intermediate outcomes, and 17 at outputs. As you can see, that's not good progress. Overall, it comes to 20% level of attainment under petroleum. And there is because the amount of revenue from oil and gas was only 183 billion. With there is some oil that we are putting on the market, then the number of Ugandans employed in the oil and gas industry and those related industries is 13,000. When you go to Hoima region there is a lot of activity going on there in the oil and gas sector, employing as many as 13,000 people for extraction of oil. Tourism development, this one performed quite well because we have 46% level of attainment at outcomes, 40% at intermediate outcomes, and 11 at output level. And the contribution of tourism to GDP is 5.5%. Uganda's tourism arrivals in 2023 covered 82.6% of pre, because it is one which performed quite well at that level. Then under private sector development program, the overall performance of the private sector program was 32%, and this is because of the 38, 50, and 29% at the 3 levels of assessment. Then the commercial lending, the private sector, was at 0.6% of GDP, which is below our target of 2.4% of GDP. That's not a very good progress because 0.6% of GDP is so low compared to 2.4%. In financial year 2022, 250 skilled enterprise groups accessed MYOGA funds, surpassing the NDP target. We have only targeted a few groups, but MYOGA, Ministry of Finance, worked out a mechanism, and we had a lot of support to the groups under MYOGA. These groups of MYOGA, the money which was going there, YLP, UWEP, and others was consolidated, and now it is going to the PDM. But the mechanism of accessing MYOGA funds is still within the saving culture that we had inculcated into the people arising from the program. And if your program is doing well, you have good savings, you have good cash flow, you can as well access that money on a competitive basis from the Microfinance Support Center, which has 13 regional offices in the country. In terms of manufacturing, the performance of that program was 34% at midterm, and because of the 50, 60, and 31% at those 3 levels of assessment. And the key highlight there is that the annual target for the number of standards and guidelines for industrial parks developed was achieved in most of the industrial parks that we are developing as a country. Then program integrated transport and infrastructure services. This is where we have the roads. The attainment was 25% because of 49, 27, and 18% at those 3 levels of outcome, intermediate outcome, and output level. And we only have 6,133 kilometers of roads paved compared to the so many that we don't have. We put it at, that number is about 26% of the national paved roads. 64% of national were upgraded, 66 kilometers of national roads were upgraded in that period. Then sustainable energy development, it performed at 24%, and this is because of the 33, 40, and 16% at the 3 levels. The unit cost of electricity, it is in terms of cents, in terms of US dollars, for medium, large, and extra large industries, consumers at the end of the financial year was $11.8, US dollars 8, and US dollars 7. We charge differently because of economies of scale. Then electricity generation capacity is now 2,400 megawatts by 2023 and 2024. Digital transformation, 16% level of achievement, and this is because we have internet penetration now at 63%. The unit cost of okay. Okay. The unit cost of 1 megabytes per month of internet is at 35 US dollars. That's about 100,000. You man put cell in this one. Yes. Yeah, the unit cost of internet is at 35 US dollars, 1 megabytes, but we had targeted US dollars 90. Sustainable urbanization and housing, the performance was at 23%, and this is because of the 35, 40, and 6% level of attainment. The percentage of municipal solid waste disposed of safely was only 72%, which is slightly above our target we had highlighted in the NDP4. Then innovation, technology development and transfer, 49% level of attainment. And there was a 30% increase in number of intellectual property rights registered. There was a 5% increase in the number of technicians skilled at the Industrial Research Institute, and 5% increase in the number of persons in STI and special programs. Under community mobilization and mindset change, we achieved 20%. Adult literacy rate was 67% by end of 2023, by 76% by end of 2023-24, and the proportion of population informed about national programs was 70%. This is where we are as the team here. To what extent are the people aware of what we are doing as government? Now, governance and security, 25%, and the level of combat readiness. Governance and security is where we have those things of security, Office of the President, and many agencies that are involved in governance. So the level of combat readiness was 100%. As you might be aware, the President said, if you want to try him, you see. Public sector transformation, the level of attainment was 24%, and 67% of the population are knowledgeable about public services, though we had anticipated 70% of the population. Then, now administration of justice, the performance was at 62%, and this is because the level of public trust in the judicial system is now 71% of the population. That's why almost all of us have at least a case in their court. Case backlog is still a bit of a challenge. We have 27% level of case backlog. These are cases that have taken a long time in court. Then the legislature oversight and representation, the program performed at 45%, and this is because the laws enacted against those plan was at 66%, and there has been an increase in the percentage of bills processed by Parliament within the 45 days to 76%. Unfortunately, when you expedite the process, people think you have interest. Now, because of that achievement, we were able to draw the 4th National Development Plan But this fourth National Development Plan also focused on the international commitments, for instance, the Sustainable Development Goals, the Africa Agenda 2063, the East African Agenda, then our Vision 2040, the manifestos of the different political parties. We had a serious engagement with all of them. So after consulting each and every stakeholder, all representatives of stakeholders, we formulated this National Development Plan, and these are the highlights. The plan, as I have illustrated to you, the GDP per capita is 1,134. Yet we want to grow in the next 15 years. We want to be $9,500. So economically, you have to grow the economy 10 times within this remaining period for you to be able to achieve that target. Now, because we expected the economy to double every 5 years, between now and 2030, we expect to double the economy. So everything that we do should be geared towards doubling the economy of Uganda. We are anchoring our plan on full monetization of the economy. We want everybody to be in the money economy. Because currently, 39% are in subsistence. They are not able to save money. And you know, in economics, we say that whatever you save is equivalent to investment. And when you invest, you create wealth. So when all of us are investing, then we are going to create wealth and accelerate our growth. That's why we want to have full monetization of the economy. To the extent that we have even asked the government to continue giving people capital in the form of the different approaches that I'm going to illustrate very shortly. Then we are focusing on agro-industrialization, first of all as a livelihood source, but also propelling Ugandans to prosperity, industry as a cornerstone for economic growth, and our qualitative leap. As I told you, if I work in industry, I'm 8 times more productive than the person who is working in agriculture. Minerals development, here we are focusing more on petrochemical industry as a catalyst for resource-based industrialization. In addition to the oil that we are going to get, there are so many other products that we are going to pick from the oil and other minerals. Then the knowledge-based economy, which is going to be driven by science, technology, and innovation, including ICT. Knowledge-based economy means that you have information access to each and every aspect of life that you need. If I want, for instance, to know about the quality of food I'm eating, I should have that information. I don't need to be in the class to know. I should have access to that information. Tourism as a vehicle to generate revenue and employment, because it has very high returns. You have $1,000, 3,480,000 shillings, Ugandan shillings. So the more tourists we attract, the more we shall be speeding up our growth. And others, for the presentation, we highlighted those ones. Okay. Now, the goal of our plan. In the NDP3, the goal was increased household incomes and improve the quality of life. But here, because we want to achieve tenfold growth, our goal is to achieve higher household incomes, full monetization of the economy, and employment for socio-economic transformation. Now, everything that we do, this monitoring we do as RDCs, this mobilization we do as the members of the National Resistance Movement, should be geared towards higher household incomes. My chairman will tell you that in my region, people wanted to form groups to bury each other, instead of forming groups to create wealth. They form groups so that when you die, they bury you. Very strange. So everything that we do, we should be able to accelerate household incomes. full monetization of the economy, encouraging savings and investment, and then creating employment for our people. Why should a 25-year-old wake up and sit at home? He should be somewhere making money. So everything that we do should be geared towards those three things. Our theme is sustainable industrialization for inclusive growth, wealth creation, and employment. We are saying inclusive growth because we don't want to leave anybody behind. Even if I am lame, I should be able to have something to do. Even if I'm not educated, I should find something to do. Even if I am a woman, I should find what to do. All of us should get moving, and so that we are able to grow our economy. Now, we have 5 objectives of that plan. And each of those 5 objectives, we have strategies we have highlighted. We have also programs that are going to help us achieve those strategies. Our first objective is to sustainably increase production, productivity, and value addition in agriculture, industry, tourism, minerals, oil and gas, ICT, and financial services. Value addition. Everything that you do before you sell it to the market, you should add value so that you get a higher price. Right now, we have a problem where the youth want to harvest very raw coffee, and because it is of poor quality, the person who is buying will reduce the price. Now we have a challenge of cocoa. Because the price is good, people are harvesting immature cocoa. So the person who is buying the cocoa, because he knows the quality is not good, he's going to lower the price. So we are saying add value first, then on what you are going to on what you have produced. But before you even add value, you should produce the maximum from that unit. If you have 1 acre of coffee, how are you going to improve the yield on your 1 acre? That is the focus of that program. And the strategies here, we are going to increase production and productivity in agriculture, minerals, oil and gas, ICT, and the financial services, then increasing value addition in those ATMs, agriculture, minerals, oil and gas, ICT, and financial services. We have 5 programs there of government. First one is agro-industrialization, sustainable development and minerals development, tourism development, land, natural resources, climate change, and environment and natural resources management. All those programs have the interventions and actions that are going to help us achieve those 3 things, those things in objective 1. Productivity, production, productivity, and value addition. Then our second objective is enhance human capital development. Through the entire life cycle, we are looking at a human being from when he is conceived up to when you die. So that is that program. We are providing for pensions, we are providing for gratuity, we are providing for those who die, for instance, when you are working. We are also, death gratuity is there. Even when I'm old, I'm 8 years, you have had Minister of Gender was here. We give you some money to help you push through life. That is at that age. When you are in employment, productive age is 15 to 64. We are creating jobs for you using the different mechanisms of government. If I am between 6 and 24 years, we are providing education at all levels. If I am below 5 years, immunization services, pre-primary, nutrition, and so on. So we are looking at the human being right from the conception up to death. We even deliver mothers in our facilities. So, but we're doing the common things that you know: access to water, access to education, and this time it is quality education. Access to health care at all levels. We are going to rehabilitate, equip, and construct health infrastructure, access to water and sanitation, as well as hygiene, community mobilization, and mindset change. You see, How you are 14-year-old, but you are not in school? Well, what's the business? So it is our business as this group to ensure that people do the right thing at the right time. We are going to expand the social protection, our safety nets, institutionalize manpower planning to be able to promote industry-driven skilling and training. These are the things that we have been doing in the industrial hubs. The training institution is linking up with industry. Training institution is linking up with service delivery points, like health centers, schools, and so on. Promoting empowerment and livelihood programs in the different categories of the people, youth, women, children, elderly, persons with disability. We have all those actions going to help support us in that area. Promote decent employment opportunities, leverage culture and creative economy, then promoting games and sports and nutrition for all. We have 3 programs there: human capital development, regional development, innovation, technology development, and transfer. Then the fourth objective, the third, is strengthen private sector capacity to drive growth and create jobs. We are targeting reducing the cost of doing business, promoting local content, particularly for micro, scale, and medium-term enterprise, micro, small, medium enterprises. Why shouldn't I buy from my brother? The challenge we have is that people want to buy things from abroad, even when their brothers are producing. So we are saying you should be able to buy from ourselves so that we create our domestic market amongst ourselves. Increase market access and competitiveness, strengthening private-public partnerships. This is because there are some investments that you cannot invest in as an individual, but when you partner with the public, then you can deliver those goods and services. Inculcate entrepreneurial mindset and educate the population to invest in productive sectors like agriculture. This is where we have those things of partnership development model. Unfortunately, maybe sometimes when we give people money, they don't want to put the money in the enterprises that they flagged that they are going to do. Then also we have 2 programs there: private sector development and manufacturing. Then building, maintaining strategic and sustainable infrastructure in transport, housing, energy, water, industry, and ICT. Here we are going to prioritize infrastructure maintenance. Where there is a road, we don't let it deteriorate before we go to maintain. We should maintain our infrastructure regularly so that we have a seamless management of our transport services. We are going to develop intermodal transport. We are not focusing on roads only. We are going to focus on all forms of transport: water, rail, air, roads, access to clean water, and affordable energy. Government is going to continue producing more energy to distribute to the population, of course at a cost. Increase access to reliable and affordable ICT services. If this, all of us here, I think we should have smartphones because we are in that group. So we want you to have affordable. We don't want you to have, remember we said we are going to have an energy economy. You cannot achieve a knowledge economy when ICT services are very expensive. Because if I get stuck with something, I want information, I just look for it on the internet and I pick it. So there is no way we are going to have, that's why we are promoting increased access to reliable and affordable ICT services. Leverage urbanization for socio-economic transformation. People who live in towns think differently from those who live in villages. Because for them, they are looking for a way of life which is different from those in the villages. So the programs there are integrated transport and infrastructure services, digital transformation, sustainable energy development, and sustainable urbanization, and the housing. Then the last objective is that we want to strengthen the good governance, security, and the role of state in development. And the key strategies there are to strengthen the rule of law, consolidate and sustain peace and security, increase the government both central and local government investment and participation in strategic areas. Then improve capacity and accountability for implementation of public programs, leverage the capacity of non-state actors to implement the national plan, and then increase civic participation in the decision-making processes, democratic governance, and socio-economic transformation. Then we are going to improve international relations and diplomacy and sustain a physical. Physical is money. It is the economic term for money. We are going to sustain a suitable physical, monetary, and regulatory environment. We don't want inflation of 20%. So we shall control inflation from there. Public expenditure and wastage, all of it, it is going to be there. Then governance and security is one of the programs, administration of justice, legislature oversight and representation, public sector transformation, and development plan implementation. So those are the strategies of the plan, those are the programs. But to actualize these strategies, we have developed interventions, we have developed actions, and then we are going to develop also projects to help us achieve the objectives of our plan. Then, just as a recap, we are going to focus on intervention so as formatization of the economy, value addition in those sectors, knowledge economy and science, technology and innovation, continuation of interventions focusing on production, productivity, and for instance, the parish development model, we are going to keep on giving people money and then supporting Myoga as vehicles for continuation of improved production and productivity. Then we are going to engage in high-speed rail and meter gauge rail. Infrastructure, we are going to do infrastructure support value addition. For instance, infrastructure is going to be like energy generation, transmission, science parks, special export zones, industrial parks, and the East African crude oil pipeline, and maintenance of existing roads. So those are going to be the priorities of government, so that we are going to be reducing the cost of credit. We have already reduced the cost of credit at the grassroots level. Through the parish development model, people are accessing money at very cheap cost compared to the banking system. Myoga. You can use Myoga to access money through the microfinance support center. So at the community level, we are using those two vehicles. Now, if it comes to now us, the middle people, we have to grow. People, I have been listening in. People want people not to put security to access grow money. But security is if you default, we recover the money. Then at a slightly higher level, we have Uganda Development Bank, which we are also asking government to capitalize so that the big boys can also access credit at a cheaper cost. We are also asking government to invest more in the Uganda Development Corporation. Uganda Development Corporation is the investment arm of government. So if government wants to invest, for instance, in a certain sector or industry, its agency responsible for that is the Uganda Development Corporation. So we are asking government to keep on capitalizing the Uganda Development Corporation so that we intervene where the private sector cannot intervene. Then revenue generating interventions, for us to be able to implement these plans, we need revenue. So everything that is going to help us help URA to generate more revenue, it is a priority of this plan. We are also focusing on cost-effective solutions to deliver and consolidate gains in social services. For instance, preventive health care. We should prevent people from falling sick instead of falling sick and treatment. Primary schools, where we are targeting at least every parish should have a primary school and a secondary school for a sub-county. We are also focusing on a health center for a sub-county, and we have phased out health center 2s. Now we have health center 3s. Intervention is focusing on our creative industry, and we want to host the African Cup of Nations in 2027. So all action is towards helping us achieve those. Hosting the African Cup of Nations are a priority of this plan. Because we have our city, Kampala, we are focusing on investing more in the greater Kampala metropolitan area. That means around Kampala and then the surrounding municipalities and town councils around it is what we constitute the greater Kampala. So we are going to have high impact projects, but those high impact projects, like I said, should consider the following priorities. Sorry, the following criteria. One, they should have a direct contribution to the delivery of the plan's priorities, especially in those agriculture, tourism, minerals, and science. Then they should have higher impact at NDP4. So every project we prioritize should have higher multiplier effect. Then it should require concerted effort of a wide array of stakeholders outside the lead implementing agency for execution, and place high demands and the need for concerted efforts. And then it should have progress in the levels of project development, that's appraisal, feasibility studies, and they should be approved by the development committee. So in conclusion, a number of reforms like the program approach and the PDF have just been implemented. The NDP3 have been implemented in the NDP3 period, and these are going to continue through the NDP4. Then we are going to have a collaborative effort of all stakeholders in achieving all these development programs and interventions, and therefore we call upon you to participate effectively in the implementation of the plan starting next financial year, which we are going to budget for. Chair, that's what we had for this engagement. Of course, it is a summary of the whole National Development Plan. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Dugu, for the presentation. And he was in time, which shows that his planning levels are very high. Yes. Now, you can listen it. Now, when I was here, you know, when you sit here in front, that's when you see what is happening. I observed 16 people who are going to take for accommodation. So, when you charge, yes, seriously. Because you are fully accommodated here today, when you are charged, when you are given your involvements and you find there a charge, please understand that you forcefully slept in the wrong place. So for that reason, I want to request Munyagiziki to come and wake us up. If all of you stand up so that you can come up late. Munyagiziki. Oh, we take from one or two questions and then yes.
Be yourself, see you.
Cha, cha, cha. Adumi Abidja. Okay. Adumi Abidja. Isikuko tayari. Adumi Abidja. Isikuko tayari. Abidja kwa dodo. Okay, now let's tap, 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 tap. Now, I think we are about to learn, are we? And I want to start for one particular demonstration. You know, when we are here, there are a number of things we're supposed to learn. Irrigation, for example. You have been complaining, you know, my RDCs irrigate me. Now we are now we are giving the RDCs. Hello? Now you are giving the RDCs and RCCs. You have assistants who you delegate or you don't delegate. But the demonstration was, I delegated the Bunyakis. She delegated my brother here. And the thing went well. Are you okay? Yes. When we talk of delegation, by the way, we also talk of the chairpersons in the RM. Some do, others. But those who don't delegate are not here. They are not present. So, let's move on. Now, pause. Now, this was presentation. As we say from the start, we have any repetition that gives sufficient information. And I take it that you were listening attentively and you observed. It is for that reason that I allowed only one question. Yes, wait a minute. It is for that reason that I allowed only one question which was written, and the question was asking them to put here their order. So please put your order. Instinctively, you have wrote that. Yes, please put your order here. And then the copy of the presentation is here with us in the IT department. And those of you who were smart enough to have their email with them, it will be transmitted straight to your email. I know a number of you what you want to read in TikTok, but it will be on your email and you will get the information right. Where you want to ask, their contact is here. You will go straight to their either email or to their WhatsApp and you get the answers. When you are not sure, you will peruse through what they have presented and you get things right. So, yeah, the unfortunate part is that I'm not going to allow